Hello everyone, welcome to John Mac Classroom. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to find the inverse of P by using the elementary row operation. So stated here we have the operation number 1, which is the interchange. Second one is the multiplication of the constant. And the third one we have the addition for the situation. So first what we have to do is to kindly copy the P for the left hand side. Next is to fill up the identity matrix for 3 by 3 matrices on the right hand side. Next, what we have to do is to make sure the situation, what we have on the left, which is the matrix P, we have to make sure by using the operation and we convert the situation to the matrix identity. So step number 1 is to make sure the 2 become 1. Next, followed by, we have 0. Then the third one is the E21 also becomes 0. Step number 4 would be the E22 become 1. And then followed by the E12, 0. Next, we have the E32 becomes 0. Step number 7, we have to make sure the E33 become 1. Next, the E13 becomes 0. Finally, E23 becomes 0 as well. So that is the process what we have to do for this situation. So now we are going to start. Step number 1, make sure the element A11, which is the 2, become 1. So what operation we can use? So for the leading diagonal, normally we are going to use the row number 2 or the operation number 2, which is multiply. So in here, my suggestion is refers to the element 1, 1, where we have the row number 1. So anything k multiply with the row number 1, we must have equals to 1. So by referring to the situation, we have the element 1, 1, which is the 2. So we have k multiply with the 2 is equals to 1. So the formula k is equals to 1 over 2. So kindly write the operation. So here we have 1 over 2 multiply with the row 1. So kindly refers to row number 1. Then the rest we have to copy. Element 1, 1 multiply with the operation and we will have 1. Next, kindly refers to the element A12, which is equals to 1. If we multiply with the operation and we will have 1 over 2. Next, multiply with the A13, which is 1 also, and we will have 1 over 2 as well. Keep on moving. Then we will have 1 over 2, and then 0 and 0. Next, what we have to do is to make sure the element A21, which is the 3, become 0. So normally, we are going to use the operation number 3, which is, so in here, we have row 2, because element A21, which is the 3. So we name it as row 2, plus with the k, and for this column, column number 1, we must relate to the row number 1. If for second column, we must refer to row number 2. And for the third column, we are going to refer row number 3. So kindly substitute the situation, and it must be equals to 0. Because refers to the basic identity, the situation for A21 is 0. So kindly substitute. So we have 3 plus k refers to that column for the row number 1, which is the 1. So rearrange the situation and we have k is equals to negative 3. Row 2, then we have minus 3, row 1 for this part. So what we have to do now is to refers to the situation and kindly highlight this part. So this will be our main focus. Now what we have to do is to copy the 1 without the highlight. So here we have 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 2, 1 over 2, 0, 0. And we have 2, 1, 2, 0, 0, 1. Kindly refers to the situation. We have row number 2, which is 3 minus with the 3, multiply for that column, row number 1, which is equals to 1. And we will obtain 0. So the answer will be 0. Next, we move on to A22. So the row 2, which is 2, minus the 3, and then refers to that column for the row 1, where we have 1 over 2. So our answer, 2 minus 3 over 2, and we will have 1 over 2. So kindly refers to the calculator, and we will have 1 over 2. So fill up 1 over 2. Next, keep on moving. For the A23, so where we have 1 minus 3, and then refers to that column, A23, that column for row 1, where we have 1 over 2. So in here, 1 minus 3 over 2, and we will have negative 1 over 2. So our answer will be negative 1 over 2. Keep on moving towards the right hand side, and we have 0 minus 3 multiplied with that column, the row number 1. And we have 1 over 2, and our answer will become negative 3 over 2. So kindly write down the 3 over 2 for the negative 3 over 2. Next, keep on moving. So we have the row 2, which is equals to 1 minus 3 multiplied with that column for row 1, which is 0, and our answer will be equals to 1. Finally, we have row number 2, which is equals to 0 minus with the 3 multiplied with the row 1, which is also equals to 0. And finally, we obtain 0 for that part. Next, what we have to do is to focus on the E21. What we have to do is to make sure the 2 become 0. So in here, the element E21, which is 2, is a row 3. Then, plus with the K, for this column, we must refer to the row 1. And it must be equals to 0. So kindly substitute the value for that column, which is the first column, and we have the value 2. Plus, we have K, the row 1, which is equals to 1 and equals to 0. Kindly rearrange the situation, and we have K, which is equals to negative 2. So kindly write the formula. So here we have the row 3 minus the 2 row 1. So meaning that what we have to do is to highlight the situation, which is the row 3. And we might copy the row 1 and row 2, because in here, the row 1 and row 2 won't change temporarily. So here we have 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 2, 1 over 2, 0, 0, 0, 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2, negative 3 over 2, 1 and 0. Next, kindly focus on the row 3. So here we have the first column for the row 3, which is equals to 2 minus the 2, and for that column, the row number 1, which is equals to 1, and we will obtain 0. Next, move on to A32, and we have 1 for the third row minus the 2 for the second column refers to row 1, and we have 1 over 2. And again, we will obtain 0. Next, refers to the A33. We have the value 2 minus 2 refers to the third column, row number 1, and we have 1 over 2. So from here, we will obtain 1. Keep on moving to the right. So kindly substitute the 0 minus the 2 refers to that column for the row 1, where we have 1 over 2, and the answer is negative 1. So here we have negative 1. Keep on moving. 0 minus 2 refers to that column, row number 1, which is 0, and finally we will obtain 0 as well. Next, we have 1 minus 2, and for the final column, we have the row 1, which is equals to 0, and we have the final answer 1. So here we have 1. So that is the situation. For your information, so I already rewrite the situation. So next what we have to do is to focus on the second column. Okay, so when we are in second column, we must focus on the second column for the row number 2. So the name would be row 2. So step number 4, the A22 must be equals to 1. So the formula would be K multiplied with the row 2 and must be equals to 1. So kindly refers to the element A22. Kindly substitute, and we will have K multiplied with 1 over 2, which is equals to 1. Next, K will be equals to 2. So the formula for this part would be 2 multiplied with the row 2. So kindly highlight the row 2. So we want to make sure the second column and the second row, the element A22 is equals to 1. So now what we can do is copy the first row and the third row. Next, focus on the highlighted area. So multiply the situation with the 2. So in here we will obtain 0, 1, negative 1, negative 3, 2, and 0. So hopefully you can follow. So next what we have to do is to make sure the A12, which is the element 1 over 2, become 0. And normally we are make use of the third operation. So in this part, the name would be row 1. And do remember, for the second column, so the formula will be multiply with the K and must be refers to R2. And the answer must be equals to 0. So kindly write down the situation for the second column, first row, where we have 1 over 2 plus with the K, and for the second column, row 2, the R2 is equals to 1, equals to 0. Kindly rearrange. So we will have k is equals to negative 1 over 2. So kindly rewrite the formula. So we will have row 1 minus with 1 over 2 multiplied with the row 2. So we must refer to this part. Next, kindly highlight the situation. So we are focusing on the first row. So the rest, what we have to do is to copy down the numbers. So here we have 0. So kindly focus on the first row. So here we have the formula. So the row 1 for the first column is equal to 1 minus 1 over 2 and refers to the row 2 for the first column, and we know that it is equals to 0 and the answer will be equals to 1. Next, second column, first row. We have our answer 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 multiplied with the second column, row number 2, which is equals to 1. So the answer will be equals to 0. Keep on moving. For the element E21, so where we have 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 multiplied with the second row, which is negative 1. So our answer will be 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2, and we will obtain 1. Keep on moving towards the right. So kindly refers to the right hand side for the row 1, R1, where we have 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 multiplied with the first column, second row. First column, second row, where we have negative 3. So the answer is 1 over 2 plus with 3 over 2, and we will have. Next, we have 0 minus 1 over 2 and refers to the second row where we have 2. So the answer will be equals to negative 1. So finally, we have 0 minus with 1 over 2 and the row 2 for that column is equals to 0. So finally, we have 0. So that is the situation for this part. Next, we move on to A32. So notice that the A32 already become 0. So we can ignore this step and moving forward to the third column. For the third column, we have to focus would be the A33. So in here, the A33 luckily is already 1. So again, we can skip another step. So next what we have to focus is A13 and A23. So we can find the answer simultaneously. So meaning that first we focus on the A13. We have to make sure the 1 become 0. Next, followed by the A23. We have to make sure the situation become 0 as well. So what we can do is to refer to the operation. So number 1, we have interchange the row. So number 2, we have to multiply the constant with the selected row. And the third one, we have to add on the situation plus with the k multiply with another row. So normally when we want to find the answer or we want to make sure the thing becomes 0, we are going to use the third operation. So for example, we have to focus the A13. The name would be R1. So for this column, A31, for this column number 3, we have to focus on the third row. So plus K R3. So do remember, must make sure them become 0. So kindly substitute. So R1 for the third column is equals to 1 plus with the K R3 for the third column is equals to 1 as well. So kindly rearrange. So K is equals to negative 1. So in here, rewrite the formula R1 minus R3. So meaning that we have to focus on the first row. So kindly highlight the first row. So undergo the process. We have to copy the third row. So 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0 and 1. So focus on the first row. So for the first row, we will have R1, which is equals to 1, minus the third row. So the third row is 0. So the answer will be equals to 1. Next, moving towards the right hand side, we have R1, which is equals to 0, minus, we have R3 for that column, which is also equals to 0. So our answer will become 0. The third column, the R1, is 1, minus, refers to the third column, we have 1. Third column, third row, we have 1. So the answer is equals to 0. Next, moving towards the right hand side, we have the A11 for the right hand side, which is equals to 2, minus, refers to the second part, okay, second part on the right, the third row, which is equals to negative 1. So we will have the answer 3. Keep on moving. We have negative 1 minus refers to the third row for the second column for the right hand side, and we have 0. So the answer will become negative 1. So finally, we have the first row, which is equals to 0, minus the third row, which is equals to 1. So we will have negative 1. So here we're already done for the first row. Next is to focus on the second row, which is the element E23. Name, negative 1. We have to make sure the negative 1 become 0. So kindly make use of the operation number 3, which is row number 2 plus k. For the third column, we have to refer to the third row and make sure it become 0. So kindly substitute the situation where we have the second row for the third column is negative 1 plus k. For the third column, third row, we have 1. So the k is equals to 1. So for this part, the formula would be R2 plus R3. So meaning that we have to highlight another part, this color. So that will be our focus. Next, refers to the blue color formula. Then focus on the second row. So here, if we substitute the situation, the row 2, which is equals to 0, plus the row 3 for that column, which is the first column, 0, and we'll obtain 0. Next, we have 1 plus refers to the second column, third row. Again, we'll have 0, so we will have 1. Next, we have negative 1 plus for the third column, third row, which is equals to 1, and we will obtain 0. Moving towards the right hand side, for the E21, where we have negative 3 plus refers to the third row, where we have negative 1, so the answer will be negative 4. Next, we have 2 plus refers to the third column, third row, which is 0, and our answer will become 2. Finally, we have 0 for the final column, second row, plus with the final column, the third row, which is equals to 1. So the answer will be 1. So kindly refers to the left hand side. We notice that everything already changed to the identity matrix. And we can say for the right hand side, everything changed to other number. It's no longer identity matrix. So we said that the right hand side is the A inverse. So meaning that here we have the P inverse, which is 3, negative 1, negative 1. Second row, we have negative 4, 2, 1. And the third row, we have negative 1, 0, and 1. So that is the process how we find the inverse for P by using the elementary row operation. So here we are, and thanks for watching.